What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Her Lounge, a podcast. We are back in after a weekend in Arizona.
Girl, it looked like a resort over there.
It was a resort. It was so nice, but from what I was told, this was actually not as nice as the first one, like the other original place. Damn. But they outgrew that space. They had to go into a bigger resort.
So it wasn't as fancy, but it's bigger.
I thought it was fancy.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I don't know about paying $500 a night to stay in a spot, but
Well, thank goodness it was on the house, baby.
Exactly.
Thank goodness it was on the house.
I told Pete, I was like, maybe for an anniversary, I'd like to come back out here. I was like, because it was, the thing is that it was super duper adult-ish. There was like
nothing to do for,
I mean, kids that were there were babies, but you didn't see toddlers. You didn't see teenagers. I mean, you saw teenagers because of the college, because this was a young Latino. So they were coming from the college, and some of the ones that were invited. Because check this out. So before we get started, because I want this podcast today to really be more about positivity, because this is how I left leaving there. I left
feeling good,
very positive. So ask yourself if what you're doing today is getting you closer to where you want to be tomorrow.
Amen. Hallelujah.
So ask yourself that every morning. Am I doing?
That. So don't put a damper on this, Marissa.
I won't. I swear.
Rob said we got to review that. They love the podcast, but that we swear way too much.
Oh shit! I got to work on that.
So you just.
Damn it.
And I
swear to fucking God, I'm going to do better.
Okay. And I kicked off this podcast saying that was one of my things that I needed to work on. The thing is, I only cuss when I'm hyped. I don't cuss like if I'm just having a conversation, like I'm normally, like I just
talk
don't.
Even when I'm
You know what's funny?
Like,
Marissa
even when I'm
hypes Mariswole up. Therefore, it's like putting fire on the flame.
I'm just like,
that's why she's my
say
dog.
Those cuss words, girl. This is that cuss word juice.
That wop
But
juice.
it was really cool, guys. Really, going to this thing, wop juice. Ew.
Sometimes I don't have a chance to respond to these crazy ass comments, but I'm telling you, man, your one-liners are fantastic.
Appreciate it. I'm here 3 days a week.
I'm working on my new set. So it was great. I was happy to be invited. I met a lot of cool people. I met a lot of people who are, even though to most people on the left, they would say like, oh, whatever. Here's what I discovered,
but most
guys.
people on the left are, oh, whatever. So
that's true.
Whatever.
Here's what I discovered.
There's
about
plenty
most
of whatever
people.
to go around.
None of them except for two guys that I met, they want to be labeled Republicans. Okay. They have no problem with you knowing, like they want you to know this is how they vote.
Yeah.
Everybody else that I met said they ride more independent, right? They're worried about the policies and fixing the policies that they believe in.
That's all I'm talking about.
That's cool.
With
that's
conservative values, okay? And I think that what they mean by that is conservative values. From what I was just observing, I'd go back to the room like for a little bit, or even if I was sitting there waiting, I'd make little notes in my notebook, right? Because it was interesting to hear everybody's perspective, right? Because I was nervous going there, because I don't want to be labeled, But guess what? Most of the people there don't want to be labeled either, so they don't want to really technically say that they vote Republican. I'm assuming. I don't know, right? No one discussed that. But most everybody that was up there made valid points. And at some point, their turning point, like I was telling Rob, no pun intended, this is called turning point.
Yeah.
It's because it was about a policy that they were passionate about that the left dismissed as like something they didn't care about, which made them see like, well, why don't they care? And that's when they went into their rabbit hole.
Or Democrats dismissed.
Yes,
because remember now, the Democrats are broken up into like 10 different categories.
Yeah, for real.
Fucking insane.
And even then,
I mean, it's freaking insane.
When I was talking to the Lexa guy, which we're going to have him on here, and not because I want anybody to exit the Democrat Party, because that's what Lexit is, right?
I'm about exiting both parties.
Listen, he's really
planet.
Yeah, no shit, because it just gets crazier. I told Rob, I'm done. Game over. End this fucking game
Let's go
already.
terraform on Mars.
Shit.
Yeah.
his testimony on
So you're talking about Jesse, right?
Jesse, on
The one in the wheelchair?
yes,
Okay.
on why he started this and how he started. We're talking about OG fucking gangster, bro. We're not talking about no.
Is that why he's in the wheelchair?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was shot.
Yeah.
And his story is insane. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell it because I want when he comes on for you guys to tell it because it's so visual. I asked the question on the way to go have lunch. I didn't know it was going to get like that. And I was just like,
I'm not hungry anymore.
I'm still hungry.
gosh, life is just, and his thing is everything. He's all about God though.
Yeah.
His thing is about God and God saved his life. And you know what I'm saying? So I love that about him because, he speaks from the heart. He's not trying to convince anybody.
Yeah.
He's trying to tell you his journey, why he started the Lexit movement, where he saw, because he's in the court system, right?
Yeah.
For many years, where he saw
Yeah.
that there was issues, right? And how he felt like,
Breakdown in
wait
the
a minute,
systems.
wait a minute. Like this is the party that I've always voted for. His mom even said, I will disown you if you turn Christian.
Why? What were they?
They were Catholic before.
But-
I know, but if you go anything, you know how they don't,
confused.
people
Okay,
don't
yeah.
consider
Catholicism, Christianity?
You know how they consider like anything that's not Catholic, like you're kind of like you're not really Christian to them. I don't know. It's weird. Like Catholic
That
people
is
like
so weird.
put Catholic,
Especially real Mexican Catholics.
yeah, exactly. So to her, it was like, don't
That doesn't
dare.
make any
I know.
sense.
But that's what I mean. That's how and that's what I
How many times I got to
learned.
stand and kneel in order to prove my.
Jesus. It's like, yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
But that's my kid's religion, y'all. So I
hey,
roll
you
with
want to
it.
hear something funny?
What?
So I had never been to a Catholic church. Here's another church
Wait,
story, guys.
How old were you?
Here we go with the trauma.
This is about 10 years old. My aunt lived in Florida. She still does. My aunt is hardcore Republican, bro. Don't.
Okay.
Whole other level, okay?
You better gift her a gun when you visit her.
Oh, yeah, like whole other
Here you
level.
go.
And to where she got off social media when they banned Trump from Twitter.
Word.
She doesn't use WhatsApp anymore. She doesn't use and she has a little business where she makes like bibs and bows and stuff like that, and that's how she would push her business. Didn't care. Got off
ain't
of
the one.
Facebook and she got off of Instagram. She said, if they're going to do that to a president, imagine what they're going to do to us. She's like, so I'm out of here. So she's like, if you need me, she sent everybody one last WhatsApp message
Damn.
and said, I'm out of here. Peace out.
Sign up to my newsletter.
I'll be back
Yeah.
in 2024.
Exactly. But anyway, I remember I went to go stay there for the summer, and she's very involved in the Catholic Church, right? And so we go, and I'm like, I'm already
Catholics
feeling
are super Republican.
really.
Yes, they're all
know
about
that.
non-abortion and
Yeah, but they don't
They're-
realize that though.
Yeah.
Based on a lot of the conversations that I had, like I said, guys, everybody's story that I spoke to, it was weird. It was everybody had their turning point again because of something that impacted
But
them.
it's like you're turning from one party that's full of shit to another party
And
that's
that's
full
the
of shit.
reason-
It's like, when can we get to the point where we transcend these two parties and we move on?
And that's the reason why
It's like
most
death
of the
by knife or
folks-
death by gun. Which one
Yeah,
you want?
yeah,
They both lead to death.
exactly.
They both lead to death.
Eesh, the knife sucks.
But most of them
does.
like I said, their turning point is not necessarily the Democratic Party. It's more so that's the party that kind of had more of what they were going
And
for.
that's the only party that's left to choose from. So that's kind of like what happened to me. It's like I started as a Republican first, and then I did that dance for 11 years, and then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll do the Democratic thing now. And now I'm just like, okay.
You part of the squad or what?
No, I'm not part of the squad. Fuck them bitches. Oh, I can't cuss anymore.
Do not censor yourself.
I'm sorry. But God, it's just because, the cultural values are different. But when it comes to the actual policy, they are super bipartisan. And that's what people are not realizing. Your Republican people and your Democratic people in power are fucking you behind closed doors. When can you see that this is happening?
And if these Latinos that I met,
We got to start our own Latino party.
unite, that's where I'm going, Marissa.
I'm telling
if
you,
these
we need our
Latinos
own- we need
really
our own
unite, I'm talking about, I
organization.
met Ana Paulina Luna, right, who is a big she does run Republican, but I want to have her on. I have her phone number. She gave me her. She DM'd me.
What up, girl?
She gave you the celly?
Yes.
Can I have the celly?
I know, right?
She is
Don, excuse him.
Don't excuse him all the time.
She's beautiful. But it was amazing to speak to her as well because she came from Section 8. You know what I'm saying? She was raised that way. She went into the military. She had a home invasion. The home invasion situation is what gave her her turning point. And so I'd love to have her on. I need to reach out to her. I know she's super busy because I know she wants to run again. So she's kind of getting her
And
campaign
she's got an
going.
iHeart deal. So she got a radio show.
She got a new podcast on there.
Podcast.
Yeah, it's a podcast. So I know she's super
and this
busy.
is why you needed to go.
Yeah, exactly right.
To make the connection.
And I met people who were not talking about I'm a Democrat, I am a Republican. I was talking to people who have issues with things that matter to them. And so because it seems like the Democrat is not party from how they explain it is like they don't want to hear it, right? They have a little bit more of a chance with the Republican Party to kind of like feed them stuff from kind of like what they were saying. It's like
they agree with them on the cultural issues.
Yes. And so I think that's why they kind of side that way. But most of them don't want to be labeled. Like I said, except for two of the people that I met, it's like, no, bitch, you're going to say I'm a Republican.
Well, it kind of goes back to what Malcolm X said. A Democrat ain't nothing but a Dixiecrat in sheep's clothing, which means a Democrat ain't nothing but a Republican in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the most dangerous thing is a white liberal. He said that as well. He said that as well.
But is he lying?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he's been speaking the truth for a really long time. He's talked about the media. He's talked about how you can transform the villain into looking like the good guy, and the good guy who's really just trying to tell you the truth into looking like the bad guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because see, what the Republican is going to do is they're going to tell you, figure it out on your own. What the Democrat is going to do is going to say, no, we got you.
They're going to spoon feed you.
Oh, they're going to say, no, we got you. You ain't got to figure it out on your own. But that's a lie. And so that's the only difference. The only difference is there is no difference.
So did you see any similarities in these
thing.
people's, like the things that they were telling you, like their turning points where
Yes.
there were similarities?
And that was, and the crazy thing is, I hate that media has boxed in everybody who voted for Trump, because obviously these people all voted for Trump, right?
Yeah.
Because that was the president that,
Boo, for a lot of people, it was something different. You know, he wasn't the one with the long standing 20, 30, 40-year record. It was a crapshoot. It was a gamble.
And that's what they all talk about, is about career politicians, how career politicians need
Do
to
you
get
know
out.
how much Nancy Pelosi is worth?
Yo, we were just talking about
Do
this.
you know how much she's
Oh
worth?
my
Over
God.
100
I
million.
can't hear that well. Maybe it's my hair.
How do you become so rich being a public servant?
Insider trading.
Because you're taking money. Like, and I was just listening to the gun activist
Colin Noir, yeah.
Colin Noir, and he was just touching on so many points that I'm like, bitch, I've been saying this shit for a long time. It's like, you're a public servant. How do you become this rich? Not unless you're taking money from these big corporations, these lobbyists. They're all in bed with each other.
Well, dude, not just that, but like there's some people that I've been listening to. They're doing like deep research into Nancy Pelosi's, like her trading trends.
The amount of money her family got from the first
my
stimulus
God.
bill. From the first stimulus bill, her family got millions.
And yet there were so many people that didn't get shit, right?
And a lot of people don't know that she was fighting hard against the second stimulus and even this last one.
But Rob, you know something that I've noticed when Chingo posts things, right? And even when you guys post things on the What Did He Said is, and it's kind of something that they talked about at this place. It's like, it doesn't matter if you give these people facts, right? Like people who disagree with what you stand, right? And I see what they're talking about now, okay? It doesn't matter if you give them facts, right?
Cognitive dissonance, it's real.
It's because the media has done such a good job of letting you think they've got the facts, and anybody else who isn't a part of what they're trying to tell you.
We're conspiracy theorists.
Yes. Everybody. I mean, I was called that, right? So, I mean,
I'll have foil for y'all next time.
yeah, thank you.
A what?
I'll add foil hats on us,
Yeah,
like they
let's
did
put
on
it on.
Jingo. So a lot of the things I learned over the weekend was you have to learn to ignore just everybody and just honestly keep pushing what's important to you. Whatever policy is important to you, then you'll help people understand better why you stand that way versus wanting to sit there and argue with them because you will never win. So let's just say, for example, okay, one of the things, and this is what I told Marissa. Okay, so one of the things that I don't 100% agree with, right, is the abortion thing, right?
Yeah.
I still feel that a female should have her right. I get it. It's a life, guys. I have two girls. Like I have, you know what I'm saying? Like I birthed 2 girls myself. I have 3, but you guys know what I mean. Before someone says, "What? You shouldn't."
I was gonna say that.
Not counting the third
Yeah,
one. Girl,
Yeah,
oh my
because
God,
you know.
stop.
Anyway, I get it, right? So, technically, the minute you find out you're pregnant, you've pretty much started life, right?
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
But there's different situations for everybody. Like if you were raped, do you
Yeah.
want that? And I know, okay, and I know that people say, well, the option is given up for adoption. Okay, yes, I get your point of view. But
Yes.
during this whole entire time that you are pregnant,
Yeah. It does something to you.
You probably are not, if you're angry or bitter and haven't gone to the counseling for whatever just happened to you, more than likely you're not going to care to take care of that child.
Yeah.
Whether it is that you maybe turn to drugs or some kind of antidepressant or whatever it is, because you don't want to think about this traumatic situation.
It's just a reminder.
Another thing that Marissa sent me the other day was people who find out their kids have some sort of disability. They do give you that.
Late in the pregnancy.
Yes.
Like they're 6-7 months and they're realizing the doctor just found out how that, there's something that's really, really wrong with the child.
Look, today I went to go get an anatomy test on the baby. So I'm 6 months.
Yeah.
This is pretty damn far along.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For you to.
So at this point, they could find something that they would be like.
Yes.
And some of those pregnancies, it just means that the baby won't be able to survive at all. So what do? Do you have the baby and you're holding the baby and they die? Because that's what's gonna happen. Like they've already let them know there's no way they're gonna survive when they're born. So it's kind of like, that's a tough one, man.
So then I kind of got into this conversation with someone because everybody's talking, and like I said, it was really cool to sit back and just listen. And so when I they were like, well, what made you guys kind of find it? So we were kind of talking about that. I said, there's a lot of stuff that I still don't agree with. That's why I don't like to be labeled.
Yeah.
And then they were all like, it was like in sync. None of us like to get like, I was like, okay, sorry. Shit. Because again, their fight is their issues, what they have problems with that's happening in the country. Not, the Democrat, they don't give a fuck that these 2 motherfuckers are fighting. That the Democrats and Republicans want to have issues. That's y'all's business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're arguing the legit policies that they have issues with, right? And so,
that we've gotten fucked on bipartisanly by both sides.
Exactly. So for them, it's more like, it's a different point of view. But when I got into that, they're like, okay, so you basically like you finished making your points, right? Like not in a rude way, but it's like everybody was talking. And
yeah.
So then he said, okay, well, I want you to take the time and look at what they do with aborted babies. And it's in some flavoring of our candies on the shelf. Pepsi used it for a long time for flavoring, and they had to shut that down. So they'll use the little fetus that they abort, and that's what's in
Do we know
a lot
that
of
this
our
is
products. True? Yeah, so they showed me how Pepsi was basically like they were, I guess not sued, but they were like basically like either you stop or you can't sell this shit. And so then I was like, okay.
I know that they use ball sacks of beavers to flavor for vanilla.
No wonder I never liked Pepsi. It tastes
No, they're
weird.
so disgusting.
Right? I'm dead
I told
serious.
Marissa, I said, before I speak on that, right? Like, I don't want to talk about it because I wasn't ready. I just wrote down the what to look up. And so I asked the guy to tell me, and we kind of looked it up. And so that I could start my research about that. That's why he has a problem with abortions. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So everybody has their reason. So it was like, you make total completely sense. I get what you're saying. I can see where you're coming from, but let me now tell you what they do with.
Isn't it disgusting how these big corporations find any way to make fucking $1? That's disgusting.
It's just
it is disgusting, but also at the same time, like, man, that's pretty clever.
How did you fucking come up with that? How did you come up with
right?
that? Who was the first person that tested
that's what I'm getting at. Who tested it? Who suggested it and then tested it?
I'm gonna have to be correcting myself this whole time.
Shut up.
It's like awful. Like, you know, when I saw his point of view, and it was like, and then, you know, he was with someone where they were trying to have children. She couldn't get pregnant, and so that's
then
his
they're
big
bringing
issue.
in, they're bringing in
their
that perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I understood what they were coming from. Then you have the people who are, or have organizations for sex trafficking, children trafficking, child abuse, sexual abuse, everything, right? Who run these organizations. And that's the reason why they're against illegal immigration, right? And so when they tell you all their point of views, you're just like, shit, I didn't know all that, right? I mean, you know that it's happening, but you don't know that it's how crazy it's happening, right? And how one girl gave me this insane statistic thing. It's funny because when Jesse went up there to speak, he goes, I'm not a Harvard guy. I'm not coming up here with statistics. And he's like, I'm speaking from the heart. He's so awesome. You're going to love him. We're going to have him on Thursday, guys.
Cool. Awesome.
But you're going to love him. Everybody, trust me, guys, when y'all hear his testimony.
I've already heard him. I've listened to him a couple times.
Yeah, it's just very touching. And the thing is, it's not about political with him. It's legit about God with him.
Yeah.
And everybody, when he didn't know what he wanted to talk about, like which angle. Well, I happened to ask him about like what happened, how did he end up in a wheelchair, right? And when he told it, we were all like, Jesse, that's what you need to say on stage. Like, you need to tell them that's what impacted your life, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, now, going back to the whole sex trafficking thing, someone that was on there speaking made a very good point. Check this out. Are we against immigration? No. Okay. Should immigration have a different type of approach? Yes. Okay. So he gave this example. Why do you lock your door at night?
Because motherfuckers can't be trusted.
You just can't allow anybody to come into your house without knowing who you are, what your intentions are, why do you want to come in, and so forth, right? So we lock our doors. So why not create, which actually when I spoke to Congresswoman or Monica for Congress, when I spoke to her, that was the same thing she said is, we've got to work on the policies, key word guys, policies on how immigrants can come in through the front door because those have not been updated, she said, in like years, like 20 plus years. Okay. So if we don't fix that, then how can we be inviting, right? Or allow this to happen? Secondly, you also can't just have this. And Ronald Reagan said this, guys, when I told you I went down that rabbit hole, he said the same thing too. He said, right, that in order to be able to have control of what's happening here, we have to have control of what's happening at the border, because while we're trying to fix here, all the immigrants that are here, we're still having this issue of, I wasn't born during that time. Excuse me. So I don't know how bad the border issue was, but in his speech, he said, we have a crisis. So I don't know what the crisis was during that time, which is something that I need to look into, right? But his speech said there's a crisis at the border, and this is how we need to fix it. We've got to control the border first so that we can fix what's here right now, and then we'll work on how we're going to fix them coming through legally, right? But the first thing is we've got to put a stop. It's like a leaky faucet, right?
Yeah.
You got to
But then we got to go deeper and figure out what America has done to cripple their economies, overthrow these governments because they want a resource, which is causing them to come over here. So it's a lot of fixing,
right?
Like, I believe in the policies, but it goes a little bit deeper,
right? But we got to start one place, and probably the first place is really protecting that border. Then going into, okay, we've got all these immigrants already here. we got to have them to pay taxes because it's not fair, right? We got to, some of them, like we talked about, like one of the things that Ronald Reagan said is a lot of these people that have to work under the table are getting, abused by their employer, paying them fucking the minimum wage, and they can't even like fight for rights or anything like that because they're illegal. You know what I'm saying? So it's important things like that they have.
Even those people that get picked up at like
Home
Depot, they'll go and work the whole day, the whole weekend,
and $50, 70, or sometimes
they won't even pay 'em.
sometimes, yeah. So you see what I'm saying?
Pay 'em.
So when he spoke in that speech, that's basically like he explained how the amnesty protects and why it's important and so forth, right? But if we can't even control what's happening right now, how can we control what's already happening here currently? You know what I'm saying? So all these issues that they were bringing up, they all made sense because they were now put in a different perspective. And then when they got into the sex trafficking, guys, I had to legit go to the restroom. I couldn't take it anymore. Yeah. Like when they talked about the child abuse, I don't know if I was because of my pregnancy, my hormones. Imagining children, I just can't. I can't do it. Which I'm going to have someone on here come speak about that. She's got an organization. I told you about her, Marissa. But I was like, I told her, I said, I don't know if I want to have her on here, although I know it's important to speak about it because it matters to me. So that's an important issue to me.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So I want to help any way that I can. I want to bring exposure to it. I want it to stop. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel that in order to do that, it's like Marissa says, we have to have the conversation and you have to leave your politics aside and you have to really think about the children that are being brought here.
Yeah, I don't understand why politics carries so much weight in everything. Yeah. These are like human issues.
And someone said that when they were speaking. They said, this has got to stop being about politics. Also, guys, I didn't know that Turning Point is a nonprofit, so you really can't go on there and speak about. You really can't speak like politics. It's more like where you stand, why you stand that way, what's important to you, what your impact in your community is, more like what you're doing to solve the issues. Don't talk about which party you're on. We want to know how you're coming in here and solving these issues. Like, tell us about that.
That's like community outreach in a way.
Yeah, that's kind of basically, it's kind of what it was. It's like, come and tell us what you're doing, your part to fix whatever is going on in this world.
Yeah.
I honestly wonder, and I would love to attend, if there is a organization like Turning Point for the Democratic Party, because I want to see both point of views. So your reason for allowing this surge to happen, right? And for you thinking that it's okay for that to happen.
I don't think all Democrats think that that's okay.
I
don't think so. See, that would be categorizing again.
I think a lot of them.
You have a lot of Democrats who don't agree with a lot of things, but you get these liberals that they get to paint the whole picture for the Democratic Party, and that's not the way that it is.
But I'm saying I'd like to go to a conference where it's all about. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'd love to go one ran by AOC to see what they talk about.
Yeah, I want to see what they talk about because I want to see where they stand, because the only way you'll ever, like I said, going to this, it helped me understand where they stood, why they do the things that they do, why they campaign the things that they do, why they're part of this organization or that organization. So I'd love to see the other side, right? Because we can only, that's the only way you can understand, right? Is by hearing both sides of the party. Like, I'd love to hear.
But the hard part is that within those sides, you have a whole different
subcategory.
Like it's.
Well, I don't know.
At
Turning Point, it wasn't like that. At Turning, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'd love to attend. Like another one that's not Turning Point. Does that make sense? Because there, like I said, most people did not want to be labeled. Most people wanted you to discuss what they're there to, like. Of course, there was a lot of the people that were there. Obviously, we know which way they vote. But what I'm saying is, a lot of them, they were more concerned with, this is the issue that matters to me. This is what I'm working towards. And here's how I'm going to approach it. And this is the party that heard me out. Yeah. I presented it to both.
And the crazy thing is that these new there's a bunch of new liberals in the party that were so disgusted and thrown off by Donald Trump. They used to be Republicans. Now they're Democrats, and they're these higher earner liberals. So what are they? You know what I'm saying? They were Republicans 4 years ago.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why.
Now they're Democrats and they're liberals, and the only reason they switched parties was because of Trump.
And that's what I'm saying. I'd love to hear their point of view.
Yeah.
Like, what was your impact? What was the thing that mattered to you most? Because
So a lot of these liberals are ex-Republicans.
Money, money, money.
Yeah,
money.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
But I learned a lot. I met a lot of great people. And you know what? It was almost like everybody's like, I just don't know why we're always getting attacked. And it was almost like everybody, like little kids, like when they're being bullied, right?
Yeah.
It was almost like, and we're talking about grown ass adults. You know what I'm saying? They're sitting there like, here's the most fascinating thing to me though, guys. We are talking about college students already getting involved, and it starts that young. And a lot of their concerns, check this out, because the students would run, it's almost like they've attended these things so many times to meet these politicians that were there, you know, people that they follow on social media that were never politicians that are now running, right? And so they would run to try to get their questions answered, right? And it's amazing to see that there's little 15-year-olds working for Senates, working for just different candidates that are running. And
I was doing that at like 16 and
Really?
you were?
Well, my uncle ran for state representative and city council, and he ran as a Democrat. And then his friend was a Republican, and I worked on his campaign too.
Oh,
yeah.
It's amazing to me because I'm sorry, at 15 years old, I was not worried about that. I was
block walking and knocking on
Were
doors.
you really?
Yeah,
So
I
you were-
was.
What is that?
I
A canvasser?
was.
You were canvassing?
I was canvassing. Yep. Mm-hmm.
wow. That was what was most amazing to me. Their questions that they were asking, I was like,
Makes a lot of sense now knowing that, Marissa.
It was what it was, honey. But yeah. Crazy.
some of their questions were like this. One of them asked Ana Paulina, how can I let my friends know and my family members know that just because I don't vote Democrat, I'm not for women's rights? Why is it that because I feel like I'm a conservative, because she says she was a conservative. She's like, she said, well, why? Because I have conservative values. Does that make me a non-supporter of women?
Yeah.
I think you and I have talked about that. You just assume because you're not for, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think women on the right or the left, I mean, I think we all want to vote, no? We all want to have the right to.
Well, yeah. What women's rights are they referring to? Like, are we talking about trans again, like transports and that trans
I
competitions?
think a lot of it is women's pay and the abortion situation. I think for a lot of them, that's like an important thing for them. And because a lot of them are like my body, what is their
My body, my choice.
my choice, yeah. So a lot of them, I think that they just assume because you vote a certain way, you're against that. I'm here to say that that's not true because, like
Yeah.
I said, I don't feel that way. I do feel that it's a choice. I used to when I was going to school, my internship was right here downtown at Career Recovery, and it's right the street that I had to turn on was right by Planned Parenthood, and it never failed. There was always protesters outside, right? And I couldn't stand it, and here's why. I'm not saying every female that walks
I
in
still
there.
can't stand it.
I'm the same way.
What?
Because it's like protesting outside, like,
Well, here's
bitch,
my
go give that bitch a hug. You don't know what she's
Thank
going
you.
through.
That's my
like,
thing. That was my thing.
you
You
know,
think,
like,
I'm not
come
saying
on,
every
man.
female isn't just. I know there's some evil ones out there that just begin abortions because they bitch got pregnant. Oops.
Yeah.
You sent me that video, Marisol. It was so.
I sent it to her. The one about double homicide.
Oh my god, honey! I rewatched that one.
I saw that.
Oh
I had to watch it like
watched
2 or 3
over and over.
times.
It was. She goes, damn, double homicide.
And she just sits around crying. She's like, bitch. Oh my God.
Goodness.
This guy named Harold Cano, who is a big Chingo Bling fan, sends me these fucking videos all
Is
day
that the
long.
one that sent you that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And he sent like a gazillion laughing faces when he sent that to me. I was like, oh my God.
She said double homicide.
I know. That's how I felt. I used to feel like, okay, most women, I'm sure, that are coming in here to make this decision, it was already a fucking hard ass decision to make. You standing out here with pictures of babies being ripped apart on this poster.
And they're doing it in the name of Jesus. I don't think Jesus would be out there being like, yeah, don't do that, bitch.
Yeah.
You know,
I just feel like
come
you
on
need
now.
I get it. You're like, I get it. I am with you. Like, I understand.
Hold her hand, pray with her. I don't know. Do
maybe
some
during your
social
prayer.
compassion.
Here's the thing. Maybe during your prayer, God may touch her heart.
Thank you.
And she may change her mind.
That's too productive, guys. That's too productive.
You know,
That's too productive. They're not going to do that.
I used to hate. I used to always be like, oh, I hate turning here. And to where, seriously, I'm not joking you. I found you would go to the next one way so that I could avoid going all the way
I have
around.
to admit to this, guys. One time I was walking by the one right there on it was on Fannin.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the big one. Yeah.
I had a confrontation with one of those ladies. I could have minded my business, but I chose not to.
That wouldn't be Marissa.
And I
It's
told her
just too
exactly what I
much.
said. I was like, you fake ass fucking Christian.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, would Jesus be out here doing that? No. Would Jesus be out here doing that?
Yeah.
Why don't you go give that girl a hug?
And
Why don't you
for
go
her.
pray with her?
And maybe pray before you go in with her. And if God touches her heart,
I was so done.
Yeah, I
was so
had to start
done.
avoiding that route. Like, I legit started going another way to get to my internship.
I had worked myself up so much.
Working yourself up right now. You're like reliving. It's like flashbacks. It's like bombs going on in the background. From
Babies in there going like this.
PTSD.
Oh my God. But that's the kind of shit that's just, it's so fucking annoying.
But that's the even, okay, we're talking about,
give that bitch a hug.
let me see.
Somebody's giving Marissa a hug today.
I know. You know, let me give myself a hug.
11,
you,
12,
bitch.
13 years ago, whatever that was. And that was already happening. So we're like in a...
That was probably when I had the confrontation.
Yeah, well, it's been that long ago for me, if not longer. So I'm just saying, and now it just seems like it's happening all over the place. And it's like, again, we've talked about this like a zillion times where it's like a broken record. It's like, why do we always have to have a damn opinion on what somebody else wants to do?
I don't know.
Good question.
And you know what's funny though is when my uncle was deciding if he was going to run as a Democrat or a Republican, it was all about strategy. It wasn't about really believing in the cultural issues on each side. It was what was best for him. And I think people need to try to remember that. Because they're usually picking a label because it benefits them in some way, not because they even think that there's a difference. How will I win in this community?
Yeah, and that's how the media was.
What do I need to run as? It's so, I mean, even being able to listen to that conversation and me never forgetting, I was just like,
Did you see the CNN tapes, Marissa?
no.
You didn't see the exposed CNN?
The exposed CNN?
No.
Veritas drop?
No.
Where they had the
Oh, damn.
God, the technical director for CNN talking about how it basically called it all propaganda, all the Trump stuff. They were developing stories, but he's on a Tinder date, and the girl catches him saying all these things about how
I feel like I've seen the still of a man sitting at a booth.
Yeah, that's him.
Okay,
so
I
he
just
goes
haven't
into
listened to it.
dude deep detail about how the Asian Lives Matter thing was all just like fake, and they realized that it was mostly African Americans doing it, but they couldn't paint that picture. They would keep the COVID death numbers on there to scare people, and they would wish on days that it would be higher, and when it was going down, and just admitting to all this shit.
I'm telling you, man, the media
It's crazy
has a lot-
times, man. It's crazy times.
No, it's not crazy. They want us to be divided because then we're not going to be paying attention to the things that they are bipartisan on.
No.
We're going to be arguing with each other.
It's Trump who divided us.
Oh, my God.
It's not the media. Everybody blames Trump, and that's okay.
He is gone, man.
I know, and
But
that's
not forgotten.
Hey, and it's funny because everybody's like, I wish when my husband posts things, they'll say, "Get over it, Chingo. Trump's not in office." I'm like, but that post doesn't even have to do anything with Trump. He is over it. He gets he's totally over it. Like it wasn't like he was
my
married to
God.
Trump. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Trump is my hero. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It was nothing like that. And when I see the comments, I have done so much better at versus before. I used to want to be like going off. Now, in attending this conference, even more so, made me realize that there is no way that there is no way we're ever going to heal because no one is ready to listen.
I've been saying this.
No one is ready to listen, and we're not going to heal as a country.
But Joe Breezy and Kamala said it's time for healing.
No, they don't want us to heal. They don't want us to heal. They want us to hate each other. They want us to think that it's a black against white issue. They want us to think that it's a Hispanic against, Hispanics against illegal immigrants.
And that's why when I like see people on, I'll see it on Facebook because it's just my friends or whatever, people that I know, they start to share videos of like black people beating up on Mexicans and Mexican people beating up on old people and all this stuff. I'm just like, y'all are part of the problem, man. Stop sharing this shit. Not all people have fucked up ass relationships like this. It's just so that we're constantly thinking that the person standing across from us is the enemy. Always.
I don't post political shit on my social media, period. Yeah, I don't want to even do it. And I don't want to do it until I can legit say I feel like I know what I'm talking about 100%. Versus right now, I always say you have to be a student of life forever. If you're not, you're part of the problem. Because there's always room for improvement. There's always room for you to learn from anybody, whether it be someone you dislike or like friends. And I hate to bring this up again, but I use Valentine, who was on my podcast, who I had him on because I really wanted to understand the transgender thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really wanted to understand the relationship between a transgender and why it's now why you consider it a heterosexual relationship. I don't understand it still, but you came on here, you gave me your point of view, and so when they were speaking about this,
and he's one transgender,
exactly.
I'm telling you, man, everybody's different, even if you're transgender. Like, they all have different...
Well, I mean, let's not go too far. What's Kylie's dad's name? Kylie's dad.
Bruce,
honey,
he's against so many gay rights. Yeah, he's a transgender woman.
They're all different.
Or Caitlyn, I should say.
That's
Caitlyn.
Why it's hard to even put yourself in these groups.
I wanted to understand it, right? And when they were speaking, like things that they were like talking about, which this is one thing, was with the they bees and the he she. That was a big topic also.
Oh my God.
When we were having lunch, I explained to them, I said, I had someone who's a transgender male. I said, and I had him on there. I said, because I said, in order for us to ever progress or get better or be better people, is we have to understand where anybody is coming from. Whether you agree with it or not, it's okay. Whether you understand it and you still feel confused, that's okay. But when the next time you hear a conversation about it, you'll remember what this person said. And then you can say, because that's exactly what happened to me. I'm like, I totally understand what you're saying, but he feels this way. And so I respect the fact that he inside that's who he is. And that's what it is we're not respecting each other, and we've lost respect for other people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, you wearing a mask or not wearing a mask is your right. So it's okay. Don't be mad at somebody who walks into the store because they're not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
You're wearing it. So, I mean, you're good, right? I mean, and if they don't want to wear it, that's their prerogative. Like, I just feel like leave them alone. And same thing with, the vaccine. It's a right. It's my body, my choice.
Yeah.
Right? In
Amen.
that part of my body, my choice. And my choice is I don't want to get the vaccine, whether I'm pregnant or not. I'm not. I need way more experiments to happen before I inject something in my body, because as it is, the Johnson & Johnson one was, you know what I'm saying, stopped.
Paused.
Yeah, because that, whole thing, people getting blood clots, right? So it's kind of like, what? You know what I'm saying? All right. And then what now? A Stanford thing came out, and they're not, but because it's Stanford, it's not credited, right?
I don't know how not. It's one of the most prestigious medical schools in the country.
They're saying that they discovered that wearing masks don't even help.
And that it could be detrimental.
And
I know,
it
I
could
read all
cause
of the-
death.
I always feel like I'm about to pass out when
I
I'm
always
wearing
tell him.
when I'm wearing my mask.
You know,
I feel
we were
like
walking
I'm
in the-
losing brain
Claustrophobic
cells.
like a motherfucker.
When we were walking in the airport,
Hey, when I wear it, I'm not gonna lie. Well, when I'm not by people, I turn it off. I take it off. When I get close to people, I'm pushing it out like this because I can't fucking breathe.
Okay.
And then if I'm wearing my glasses,
thank you. And all this hot breath. When we were walking in the airport, right? I'm like, okay, everybody knows when you're pregnant, your uterus sits up higher. So your diaphragm's already like, you know what I'm saying? You're already breathing harder. And I'm walking and I'm like, I have the mask on and I'm looking at these little old people walking really slow. And they're wearing like 3 masks. No joke. They're wearing one underneath and another one on top.
they're about to faint.
For real.
And I'm like telling Pete, I'm like, okay,
Woo!
I'm pregnant. I'm way younger than these elderly people walking here, and look how slow they're walking. They've got 2 masks on. I can only imagine how much air circulation
Girl,
is
they ain't
really
getting no damn
technically
air.
happening.
It's not circulating.
This is medical. We're not talking about anything else. I'm really thinking about the health of this elderly person that I'm watching walk. I kid you not, like it's almost like a little sway. And I was just like, I just want to say, like, take your mask off. I'm okay with you not wearing it because you look like you're struggling a lot more. If it's hard for me to breathe and I'm way younger than them, I can only imagine what they're feeling like. When I see Rob send me shit, I was like, just stop, Rob. Just stop, because I just can't anymore. I'm over it. It's too much. And how I feel like I'm going to approach everything is I want to just things that I care about, I'm going to speak about. And if you have a problem with that, then that's your problem.
Hey, meanwhile, 15 minutes later, she'll send me some shit. I'm like, man, I thought you said you were done. Now you're getting me all worked up.
I do that because I'll see some shit. I'm just like,
Woo! Oh my God, yo.
Every time I get something, I see you making that face. So like I open it and I see your face going like this.
I just can't. Sometimes I'm just like, it's just too much. Like I even said that when I was talking to Ana Paulina, because she was like, you know, because she's running, so she's got to be like on her fucking toes, right?
Yeah.
So she's got to know if you about to battle her, she's gonna have to know how to answer you, right? And so when she's spitting out all these things, I was just like, my poor hamster was like, reverse. Like, I can't no more. Like, just stop. You've had enough for today. You're eating.
Yeah.
Don't ask no more questions, because she was so knowledgeable. You know what I'm saying? And so she was just kind of like, and then y'all, I don't even know how true this is, which I'm gonna look up, right? But I think I told you, Marissa, that immigrants in New York, illegal immigrants in New York, were getting a stimulus. Like, they passed this thing where they were getting a little stimulus of $1,500. And we were kind of talking about that, and I was like, yo, is that true, man? Can somebody please fact check that? Because if
Jamie?
that's happening.
Yeah, right. I thought it
Jamie?
was more than that, actually. I was reading that as well.
You know, this country wastes so much money. And I'm telling you, I was listening to the latest Joe Rogan podcast with the guy who's a gun advocate. And he was talking about the millions of dollars and this is just one state, one city, but the millions of dollars that they've gotten in subsidies, right? And I hate to say it's from the government, because it's really from us, the taxpayer. They're just the ones that get to figure out where everything goes. But they've got millions, 300 and God knows how much million to help the homeless issue. Where is it going?
Yeah, bro.
Where is it going? Where is it going? Where is it going? And you know what he said? What I always say. Anytime we ask for something, well, your taxes are going to have to go up. And he's like, no, my taxes don't have to go up. Don't you have enough with everything that we've been paying into? Fuck you. Our taxes don't have you. They always say that. Well, if you want this, the taxes are going to have to. No, it doesn't. What you actually have to do is start actually putting that money to what it's for. So to leave these systems, because this country is just a bunch of systems, right? You start to break them down, and a lot of them are flawed. Some work, some don't. But when you start to, if they actually fix these systems that are flawed, then the money dries up for everything.
But wait.
Yo, it's $15K. And so I knew it was way more.
It's $15K?
$15K.
Oh, I see. I thought
What's
it was $1,500. What they got?
Undocumented,
What's $15K?
undocumented workers are eligible to receive
What is $15K, Rob?
$15,600 if they can prove that they are New York residents who are ineligible for unemployment benefits due to their immigration status. Other undocumented migrants who aren't able to meet that will get $3,200.
This is what I cannot do.
15,000. That will go to over 300,000.
Did you hear about de Blasio's wife?
No.
The mayor of New York, and I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The mayor of New York's wife just got caught in this super huge scandal where there was money that was supposed to be going towards, God, what was it? I can't remember. God knows how many millions, maybe even 800 million. She cannot, there's no way to account for that money. It's just gone. It's disappeared. Somebody did something and they found out that they put this money aside for a service. I can't remember what it was, but the money has gone. It's disappeared. Honey,
Mental health project.
Yes.
$850 million gone.
$850 million. That is taxpayer dollars that what? It just disappears? Those New Yorkers are paying a fuckload in taxes. I'd be pissed if I found out that my money wasn't going to mental health.
Wow.
And it was going towards what? Them? Their enrichment? Their vacation homes? Their dealings and their relationships and their investments?
That's why I can't do Fox News and I can't do CNN. I can't do any of them. I got to do it on my own. And that's why when I hear something, that's why I was like, okay, I had even told you or somebody, I said, I'm going to wait before, I think I told you, I'm going to wait until I figure out how true this is before I even speak on it. Because I like I said, I like when I hear something, I like to do my due diligence, like really read about it and try to understand it before I even talk about it. Because, I hate people that talk out their ass and then you're just kind of like, well, do you remember what you said? And you're like, I said that, and it's kind of like, so I really tried my best. Speaking about all that, one of the things that guy, Charlie Kirk
Mm-hmm.
is that what his name is? One of the things he talked about was he was saying about like how we need to start making our own things, right? And how like it needs to be made here in America. We need more American.
The U.S. doesn't produce anything.
Exactly. We don't. And
honey, a lot of these people that they're criminals and they're robbing and they're stealing, there's just no opportunities, man. Not everybody wants to go work at McDonald's. If we can bring these jobs back.
Dude, Florida's paying people $50 to go interview at McDonald's. That's how few people want to work. They're paying you $50.
Because of how much unemployment money they're getting.
Right.
I mean, even who was I talking to?
But why McDonald's though?
I don't know. It's weird. I started reading the article and I was like, why is McDonald's paying $50?
We need more welders. We need more electricians. We need more. We don't need more people going to college. We need more hands-on.
Well, schools don't even offer that stuff. There's no more trades.
Yeah, I know.
Well, remember they used to teach you like wood shop. They used to do welding in high school, metal shop.
Yes, look, not everybody wants to go to college.
Technical schools, HVAC, all that stuff.
Yeah, but McDonald's isn't a good option either.
No.
Fast food isn't a good option either.
That's just all going to be roboticized pretty soon anyway. It's all going to be autonomous.
Well, what he was talking about was how why it's important for us to homeschool our children because of the way schools are going right now, and they want to indoctrinate our children. And
we've been indoctrinated.
He talked about, but he says if you can work on stopping that, you know what I'm saying, so that your kids understand it. And like we've talked about, it starts at home. You educating your kids at home first. And then he went in to talk about like production and how so many companies are not even here, and how the more you let China do things, right? Oops, I shouldn't have said that because it's going to go on YouTube. They're going to ban me on there.
Ding.
China?
Yeah.
I know.
It's the sign for that. So I'm going to sign it so they can't see it. Yeah.
What about Mitch McConnell's wife? He's the leader of the Republican Party. She's from China. They've got this $1 billion business. She's the heiress to God knows what. They've got all these illegal dealings. So Republicans are playing these China games too.
No, yeah. So what he tried to explain was that, right, about how it's important for us to make our stuff here, our goods and our medication, and we shouldn't have to have waited that long for PPE, blah blah. So he explained all that. So I took that home, whatever, right? And I was like, I got to look more into that, right? Like I got to understand how this all works. Well, then I happened to run across a thing that's on Netflix. It's called Rotten.
I saw that.
And so here's the crazy thing.
That's the food, right?
Yes, and what happened? The first episode I watched was about avocados, right? And so,
in Michoacan, right?
yes, but it starts in California, right? So before we didn't allow for that trade from Mexico to come in, so our farmers were doing great, right? But in California, there's an area, I forget where it is, where it's really hard for them to get water. So it's like it was only seasonal, right?
Yeah.
And then we figured out, what is it called? NAFTA happened when Bill Clinton passed that, right? And so then it was like open trade now. So then now the farmers that we had were fucked, right? And how now the Michoacan is like the big place for avocados, right? But then they were making so much money, that's when the cartels got involved, and they're making them pay a really high tax. And then so all I could picture was, Charlie just talked about this. We caused this, right? Because in a way, if you think about it, had we not done NAFTA, right, those poor people in Michoacan wouldn't be attacked by the cartel, right?
It's all
They
a
would have
matrix.
they would have been able to continue to serve Mexico and sell avocados in Mexico year round. That's fine, because where they're located, they're able to produce year round, where it's not seasonal like for us.
Yeah, it's like the best climate.
Yes, exactly. So when I was watching that, I was just like,
but then we couldn't sell avocado toast for $20.
I told Peter, I was like,
Mother lover.
I don't know who's like, why that became don't you remember eating that as a kid?
Yeah.
Like, that's like, that was like
beans
Con queso
poor
fresco?
people.
Or-
Yeah,
yeah.
queso
All the time.
fresco. Like my grandmother would make that when she didn't feel like cooking for us, but she did it on torta bread, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you
Oh,
get the
hell yeah.
I'm
bolillo.
gonna go get me some.
Fuck yeah, let's
you
go to
know,
Taqueria Aranda's after this.
Oh yeah, I love arandas actually.
Yeah,
And a
me
lot of
too.
people don't
Dude, I
like it.
haven't
They
been
think
there
it's fake
forever.
food, but
Oh,
I
fuck
really
those
like
people.
it.
I love it.
You know, that's what Pete brought me as my first meal after giving birth.
Yeah, went to Aranda's?
He brought me back a burrito from Arandas. I was like,
we used to go there after the club back in the day.
Oh, yeah, for
Hell
sure.
And
Yeah.
California burrito, I
The
think it was.
California burrito.
Oh my God.
Jesus, take the wheel.
I need to go. I haven't been in years.
but it goes back to what Marissa says. It's like you got to kind of go back, like, and see what's happening and why shit happens, and then you got to. I mean, the farmer from California, bro. He starts to cry because he's trying so hard not to. We're talking about grown ass man, right? Like balding already. He's like,
What do you got against bald people?
no, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to give y'all a picture of him.
Yeah.
Like he's in a grown ass
picturing,
man.
I'm envisioning.
Okay, and this is a farm that his great grandfather had. His dad worked on. Him and his brothers worked on. He was hoping that his daughters were going to get to work on, and because of this, there's nothing. He's gonna have to sell this off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He can't compete.
And farmers are being attacked by
Totally.
big business like Monsanto, where they are being forced to use their seeds, which are all full of GMOs. So it's a doggy dog world, and Bill Gates is buying up all the fucking farmland.
Why?
So that's another scary thing. He's dominating the vaccine world, and he's buying up all the farmland. Somewhere I saw, it was on the Alley. She was on the Joe Rogan podcast. One of these comedians, kind of dry, so it's kind of hard to listen because she's really monotone.
Oh, Makovsky.
But Joe Rogan's always dropping gems, and he talks about this decorated ex-Marine who wrote a book about like basically the business of like war, and he was highly decorated. Damn, I took a screenshot of it because I was like, I'm gonna get this fucking book. But how he was pissed when he found out that really the reason that he was going to war was just because of our special interests. It really has very little to do with our rights and our liberties. Anytime we're at war, it's because
well, that's one of the things Anna Paulina
it's
talks
called
about.
War is a Racket. His name is General Smedley
Oh, you have to send me
Butler.
that.
War is a Racket, General Smedley Butler, and he actually wrote this book before we went to war with Hitler, which was actually a war that was because we were trying to actually help people. But it's crazy, man. It just all goes back to money
Yup.
every time.
It's crazy. And then I watched this documentary about Karl Marx, right? And so I watched this little documentary about China worships Karl Marx. And so they took all his communist ways and incorporated it into China. They love Karl Marx so much, they gifted Germany a statue of Karl Marx to put there. And so they were kind of like...
Yeah, but Karl Marx is just like the Bible. There's people in the KKK that take pieces of the Bible and turn it into something totally fucked up.
That's how they run their country. It's based on Karl Marx's ideas. So,
or a misinterpretation of the things that he was saying.
And
similar to the Bible.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, very similar to the Bible. A lot of people interpret it. That's why there's so many religions.
Saying, that's why I think Karl Marx gets a bad rap.
But he's not that great. You should probably watch this documentary. I'll send it to you. It was done by DW, whatever their name is on.
Daily Wire.
No, not Daily Wire. It's called DW documentaries. I don't know. They do them about different. Well, it's about him. It's about him and all his readings. Actually, with him and the guy. I forget what the other guy's name. He had a
It was
hard
like
name
5
too.
of them. One of them was with that guy.
And so they list them all on there for you to go and check them out also. But the crazy thing is, so Germany was kind of like, okay, well, I guess we'll take the gift, right? I mean, we don't really kind of like praise him or anything around here, but sure. Well, his birthday's on Cinco de Mayo. And they approved a statue 5x5. Get it? His birthday 5x5. So that's where I'm at right now. I haven't finished it. The documentary's kind of long. Yeah. And Pete's like, why are you watching that shit on your phone? They're going to start, I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, Pete. And it's funny because one of the things that I was told while I was out there is, do not have one phone. You should have 2 phones, and one of your phones should just be for your social media. When you're done, turn it off. After you're done doing it, turn it off. And your other phone should be for, you know what I'm saying? Like, communicating or whatever. And so...
Snowden's been saying this.
Yeah, right.
And use Signal as your communication because they can't track that. So it's encrypted. Yeah. So that's how you should text people. So anyway, so now I have it downloaded on my thing. I'm all like terrified after that. I'm like, what? And Pete's like, been telling you be watching some shit that they're probably wondering why you. I'm like, well,
I'm trying to educate myself.
I'm just trying to educate myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, damn. Anyway, so that's where I left off, where they gifted Germany that 5x5 because, and when they told them it could only be 5x5, the Chinese were like, fuck yes, it's 5x5. It's his birthday. It's a sign. He wanted us to build it on here.
Oh my God.
And that's where I'm at right now. So that's where we're talking about. But they talk about the good of him and the bad of him. And basically, from where I'm at, it was more bad than good. So I haven't gotten to any of the like, oh, he's good because of this. So none of it I've seen yet. And like you said, I don't know. Like it's in this lady that
you can always take bits and pieces of what you're looking for to fit whatever.
I just want to know about him, just because you know, because like I said, the girl that did the BLM, because she said she was a trained Marxist.
Oh yeah, one of the co-founders.
One of the co-founders.
Yeah,
so I wanted to understand
nuts.
what that meant, right? Like, what does it mean to be? I mean, what does that mean?
What that means.
Exactly. So that's what I was on there looking up to see like what I could read. And honestly, there's no books out there either. So to understand what, like, I mean, there's obviously people who will tell you what
it's
Marx.
hard to find the readings. I have them.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'll print them and give them to you.
Yeah,
so you can do
there's
it on
not very
your own.
much out there. The one with him and the guy, it is on there.
Yeah,
I've
that's
seen
the
that
only
one.
one. Yeah.
But they list them on this documentary thing, which I thought was pretty interesting. Because Pete had fallen asleep, and he's like, "Are you watching that for
this?"
real?"
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, "I know. I just like really like am trying."
And they're
to
probably calling themselves Marxist BLM people because of one little thing that they found that they're like, okay, this is what I identify with. When context matters. So yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even know people were calling themselves that, or feminist Marxists and all that crazy shit. Like, what does that even mean?
I like how we started the podcast saying like, this is gonna be the podcast of positivity.
Well, it is because it's a good no.
It is.
No, it is.
High five, girls.
No, it is because I hope that.
Can I have a cheese cracker? Not that, the other one.
On this one, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
Hell
that.
A couple Pregos and some cheese.
I know. I just came out from the doctor's office. I didn't get a chance to sit down and eat. But I just really, I want to open up my eyes. Like, I want to open up my eyes. I don't want to be this person who
Ignorance
just
is bliss.
I don't want to be this person who just because they say something
Sometimes it is bliss, though.
You're right. It is.
It is.
I feel like I don't want to know these things.
Exactly. A lot of these things that I like for example, when I was watching that Rotten thing, I was just like, I feel it, right? Because at first I'm kind of like, so who gives a fuck that they're allowing these Mexicans to, right? Because I'm Mexican, you know? So I naturally want to feel like, people in Mexico struggle. You know what I'm saying? They make but $20 a month, I mean, I get it. So for
corrupt governments everywhere.
Exactly.
Boo. We're not the only one with a corrupt government.
We're getting there. We're getting just as bad as all these other countries. Like, it's really bad. And if you don't think it's bad, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that you disagree with me. And you can call me whatever you want to call me. I'm going to allow it because it's bad, guys. It's bad. And if you don't see it.
Some people still live in their little bubble and they refuse. They refuse to look at the things that are going on around them. They just refuse.
Yeah. I don't play any of those people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Me too, man. I'm just like.
Well, I want to be able to. I want to be able to have a conversation with someone if they were legit. Okay, like I was a little offended. I'm not gonna lie. I got asked to be on a podcast, guys, and you're not fooling me. I know what you're trying to do. You're gonna try to attack me.
Take me with you, bitch.
You're gonna try to attack
guess
me.
What? I bet they won't.
I know that's
If
what
I'm
you're
there.
trying to do. But I found
Let's go.
I found this odd.
Tell them
right?
you're taking your co-host.
Check this out, guys. And
enforcer.
Here he is. Good evening. I hope you're doing well. I take it that you're a Trump supporter. That's how you invite somebody on
What
your
a great way to
podcast.
start.
Keep reading it.
Okay. This Wednesday, my company /podcast is having a conversation on 100 days of Biden, and we love your input as we honor diversity of thought. As you send me all the things that Biden was supposed to do within the 100 days, which, right? How has Biden delivered on his promises? These are the things that we're going to discuss.
Tell him you will only go if you can bring me.
I'm not going on there because I know what you're trying to do. You're not trying to have a legit conversation. The fact that you just said, I take it that you're a Trump supporter and your account is private.
Lame.
Let me see.
I'm not doing it because you're not really trying to have a conversation with me. You're trying to sit here and have a debate with me. And I'm not debating because I've never claimed to be anything.
Yeah.
I've claimed to be a person minded. Exactly. I claim to be a person who is not labeled. I don't want to be labeled. And I want to be a person who continues.
I don't know, man. It might be a good idea.
I don't know.
Let them try to come for you.
I don't know. And that's what I thought about that the other day.
Because
I thought about having somebody.
And see, look, he should. You know what? Maybe y'all can give me your phone number and I'll give you a call and we can discuss this. That way you can kind of feel him out, because sometimes with a message or a text, we can misinterpret what they're saying. Maybe he wasn't saying it like you're a Trump supporter. Maybe he's like, you're a Trump supporter.
Take it.
Like,
No, you're right. You're right. You miss context in text.
Maybe you can, misinterpret what he's trying to say.
I don't know, my Libra intuition
Send me your phone
immediately
number so that we
kicks
can
in, so-
discuss this.
There you go.
But it's kind of crazy though, because the only time that I've been attacked, in this last 4 years, I guess.
After being on this podcast?
No, this was even before this, because I've never shut the fuck up about these things. But people who are hardcore Democrats.
And that's okay if you want to be. That's what I
Isn't
mean.
that crazy? And I'm
That's
just like,
wild.
okay, but don't you kind of see that I'm not like attacking you? I'm just telling you this is funny.
Yeah.
Like, this don't seem right. Is that bad?
That's how I opened up my eyes. And I talked about this the last time on this podcast. Is Turning Point was the first Instagram account I started following whenever I was starting to get curious about things. Okay, and I subscribed to their newsletter. They were the first account that I followed. After that, that's when it suggests, how it'll suggest other accounts. I wanted to take it one step at a time before I started like really going down rabbit holes, because Pete was already coming at me with too much, right? And I just kind of felt overwhelmed. I was like, just stop. I'm like, just hold on a second. Let me do my own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he and I still don't agree sometimes on things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Rob, you know that we've had discussions and there's things that he and I don't agree on because we see things different, right?
Yeah.
And I get where he's coming from.
And that's going to be everyone. Like, you're always going to have these things that make sense. Like, let's take Karl Marx, for example. You're going to have things that they don't make sense to you and they don't sound right. But then there's going to be things that, okay, that does make sense. For everything, not one person is going to have everything that you're looking for, everything that you agree with. But if you can just open up your mind to look at the good and, ignore the things that you don't agree with, then it makes more sense. But you can't just shut somebody completely down just because you don't agree 100%, because that's not possible.
Right.
Those things are not possible.
I just don't think that we'll ever. That's why I said it's going to be very hard to have a healing country, because we're in a time right now that no one wants to hear each other.
Everybody wants to prove a point.
Yeah, and no one wants to. No one really wants to understand anybody. No one wants to really see the truth of what's happening. We want to believe what the media is putting out there, because, and you know what, whenever I was checking on like doing my research about immigration, right? If you look at because I found a bunch of press that Ronald Reagan was doing and other presidents during that time about immigration, because what I did was I searched immigration presidents and immigration, and so it gives you like different. It was crazy. None of the news reports, like none of the news stations had an opinion. Everybody was just legit letting them talk.
They were just telling you the news.
Yeah, no one was saying nothing. Yeah. And I said, I wonder if anybody's taken the time to go back and realize that our media has all of a sudden has so much like impact on us. But yet back then it was almost like they didn't take sides. I'm not saying no one did. I'm sure whoever, but it was like you almost worked there. I mean, I met someone who lost their job just because, y'all, they voted for Trump. And how fucked up is that? We're talking about a professional.
That's stupidity.
We're talking about a professional. You lose your job because of that. Your company doesn't agree. I didn't know you had to disclose that. I mean, usually when you fill out an application, you don't even have to disclose your disability. But now if they find out your political view, you can be fired.
That's ridiculous.
How does that make sense? That's the first thing they teach you about when you apply for a job and you've got a disability. Do you want to disclose your disability? Yes or no? So I was dumbfounded when I found out that this person who is a professional got fired for voting a certain way. And how fucked up is that?
You know what I was dumbfounded by? Back in the day when I was in college, and I don't know how it is now because that was a while ago, but it was like 2 corporations at that time that controlled all of the media. I'm talking about radio, TV. So basically, these conservative media outlets and the liberal media outlets were getting their check from the same place. So they are paid to be divisive. So again, we're not focusing on the things that our government is bipartisan on. When you're getting your check from the same place and you have these 2 or God knows how many opposing views on TV, and they're getting their check from the same place.
And then they talked about,
does it make sense?
Univision and Telemundo.
Why? What's happening with them?
I mean, they're doing just the same thing.
It's like CNN in Spanish.
Yeah, it's pretty
There's
bad.
not a conservative outlet in Spanish.
There's not, and I didn't know that. And so there's one that just got created, which Ana Paulina is a part of, and so their goal, what Marissa just said, is to report the news. Okay.
What? That's so bizarre.
Yeah, is to their goal with so they're out of they were out of Venezuela, so they are people who are victims of that whole type of environment.
Regime.
Okay, yeah. So they started it. They're out of Miami, and so she just jumped on working with them, right? And so their goal, like I said, is they want for you. Their goal is for you to make your decision. Okay, so these are for Latinos now. Okay, so it is in Spanish. So that you can make your own educated decision on what you feel is right. So they're going to give you the news, and you go from there. You take what I just reported and go from there.
Yeah.
And if you find that was how you feel, that's how you feel. If Rob feels he's this way, then that's how he feels.
Yep.
But we just told you the news. That's all we did.
Oh, is it El American?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I just saw Inform with Anthony, who we had on.
Yes,
the
that's
RPT.
who it is. And so,
So it's a new digital media platform for Latinos providing thought-provoking and counterculture news, opinion, and analysis.
You do realize Latinos are the sleeping giant, right?
1,000%. I think they know that. That's why border crisis.
Because not all of us vote. A lot of people are disenfranchised. They have no interest because they have no trust in either party. But if they voted, imagine. I mean, we really are the sleeping giant. We do really have a lot of control.
And a
lot of power.
We do. And that's why and that's something that Pete and I both say. It's just because I gave the Republicans my vote this year does not mean that in 2024 they're also going to get it, because
you got to work for it, baby.
Exactly. You got to work for my vote, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not just going to get my vote just because this is how now I know that. Democrats, you got it all since I was 18 years old. You got it from me.
They vote blue no matter who.
That was me. I'm not going to lie, guys. It was, if this is what is happening and it seems legit, that's how I'm going to vote. I didn't educate myself, and I get disappointed in myself every time I think about that, because I wonder how many times I was part of the problem of whatever issues that were happening in this world, because I just decided to vote a certain way and didn't take the time to read about any issue that was important to me. I didn't take the time. I was like, oh, that seems right. Like I said, the second time I didn't vote for Obama, and it was because it was funny. I liked listening to Michael Berry, but I didn't like everything Michael Berry said, because he's very Republican, right? And so to me, a lot of the shit he would say would get on my damn nerves. But what happens
Who was running against him that second time?
Against who?
Obama.
I think it was...
Was it Hillary?
Hillary.
No, it wasn't Hillary.
The second time?
No, it was against Obama.
Yeah.
It was
a Bush.
No.
Because remember, Hillary went on this hardcore smear campaign against Obama. And then when he got in, he made her the secretary of, or what was it? Secretary of
I don't know.
State?
Rob's got the computer right there. Can you look that up first?
I'm looking it up right now.
I don't know, but I'm really mad at myself, and I'm glad that I've unfortunate.
Mitt Romney.
Oh, it is Mitt Romney. Yeah,
that
guy too.
I
Oh my
wouldn't have voted
gosh.
for Mitt.
I mean, either.
Anyway.
That's why I didn't vote that year.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean. That's kind of when I started to see weird things, right? And I was like, I'm not voting. I'm just not voting for that Democrat that year because I'm not okay with it, right?
Yeah.
So that was that year.
And the Republican choice was just as shitty.
Yeah, exactly. And Michael Berry kind of talked about that on the radio. And this is when he was on AM. I think he's still on AM, but now he's on iHeart too. But I used to listen to him just because I like to hear both sides. So I've always kind of, I don't know if that's a Libra thing. The balance, you like balance 100%. And you like even, like you like to be fair. And that's I'm big time about being fair. And I think that's what frustrates me more about what's happening in this world right now, is that no one is playing fair.
Yeah.
Everybody's just thinking about themselves, how they can fuck people over, and how much crazier they're going to make people feel. And if people don't already have mental health issues because of when this whole pandemic happened, we're seeing just crazier amount of people with mental health. You know what I'm saying? And it's suicide, and it's not helping. This is not helping. And for everybody who has this mentality of like, but what about the people, guys? There's been other things that have happened in this world as far as like viruses are concerned. It's about pretty much just, it's common sense. No one thinks that. No one thinks it's common sense to wash your hands. I mean, I don't walk anything closer than 6 feet to somebody at the store. Do you?
No.
Just think about that. When you're at a grocery store, okay. And this is in deaf culture, okay?
But
check this out.
when I'm like picking my apples, a bitch gets real close, and I'm like,
and then before or after pandemic, exactly. Thank you.
Oh my God,
you like your space. Americans are like that. Let me tell you why.
Yeah, we do.
In deaf culture, they teach you how deaf people are very touchy.
Yeah.
So you're touchy because so are Hispanics, so are African Americans, so are Black people. Okay. Naturally, we talk that way. We touch. We do. Asians and Americans, Caucasians, okay?
They're nut to butt.
They don't like for you to even, it's disrespectful in the Asian community for you to give eye contact. So signing with someone who is Asian, they explain to you how it's not, don't find it disrespectful if they're kind of like looking down at you. It's part of their culture. And so this is taught in deaf culture in school, okay? So naturally, Americans don't like for you to be all up in their space. So this is the reason why they create this space of signing right here, is because of, we need to keep our distance and blah, 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 blah. So if you think about it, guys, we already did the things that they're asking us, except for these damn masks. I mean, I fucking sat down every time I'd get on his nerves. When we would sit down at the fucking, on a plane, I'd be like, hold on, don't touch nothing. I'd wipe everything down and I'd sit down. That's just a germaphobe. Yeah, all the time. I don't know who was touching their booty or scratching their...
I never did that.
Oh, I always did.
It.
Scratch your booty
I'm gonna
or
do
wipe
it now. No, I scratch my booty.
I always wiped it down. And I would get
I would just say, I'm comfortable.
Nah, I'd like wipe it down. I'd make sure I'd always bring wipes.
No, I'm kidding.
Now we know where the boys get it from and you blame it on them. So most people are kind of, they're conscious of their hygiene, bro. Like, we're not just fucking gross fuckers walking around. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, think about it, guys. Like, when all of a sudden did we have this phobia? Like, it's, when you go to the grocery store, guess what? There's always been other people that touch the cart before
there's always
you.
been other people touching the fruit,
everything. Let's think about it. And it was one of the things that they were laughing about the masks, right? When out there, one of the things that they said is like, isn't it odd that you walk into a restaurant wearing a mask? The minute you sit down, you can pull down your mask. Yeah. And they're like, so COVID goes away when you sit down.
Yep, sure does.
So dumb.
But should you get up to go to the restroom,
it comes back.
So you better
Full
put
force.
your mask
Get
on
ready.
again. Is that not the silliest? When it obviously this was a speaker that started out joking, because you want to like break the ice in the room, and so I just thought that it was hilarious when they pointed like, I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. If you go to the restroom, there's COVID there, so you better put. Hey,
but that's lenient compared to a lot of other states.
Well, shit, the restrictions are even dumber. Like, businesses got to close at 9 because at 10 Corona comes out. Like, what?
I can't.
Okay.
And that's where I go back to my thing. So no one has thought about. Okay, so the whole thing is that the reason our numbers in Texas are down more is because there's less testing, there's less reporting. People are not going to get tested as often as they were before. So that's the reason why we're showing less numbers. But the hospitals also are showing less numbers. But
the hospital's still open.
I don't know.
If you're sick and you really feel that sick, then go to the hospital.
So I don't know,
still gonna
right?
Be there.
Okay, so I get that, right? That's other people's argument, right? Is that like, but I still don't get why none of these scientists, right? Because we're talking about science, right? No one has thought about, let's find out the variables of why, if New York and all these other states who are completely shut down or have the higher numbers, right? And these places that are like more open, their numbers are going down. Let's find out so that we can help everybody, so everybody can get back to regular life, right? Because nobody wants that though, right?
Yeah.
Nah.
Let's get back to regular life. Let's figure out where the common ground is. What is helping this area and it's not helping this area? Is it the climate over there? Is it maybe, what is it?
Being
is
outside
it
in the sun?
outside? Why? What's going on here? Is it because out here it's more cold? Does the heat kill germ? Like, no one.
Common ground has to have admission of being incorrect, and they're not trying to admit that they're wrong about anything right now.
But I'm just saying, and that's why I don't understand why no one realizes that they don't care about us, guys.
Yeah, like the videos of Fauci getting grilled by Congress or anybody else. Oh, they're fascinating. How he can't answer any of the questions.
He can't answer any of the questions.
When Jim Jordan was talking about Texas,
you're the highest paid
government official.
And Jim Jordan didn't do it like Trey Gowdy did. Do you know Trey Gowdy?
Nuh-uh.
He was what is Jim Jordan, a senator?
Yeah, for Ohio.
He was a bad motherfucker. If you look him, he was a Republican. You look him up on YouTube. Trey Gowdy, his most savage moments. He was the one that he grilled the fuck out of Hillary Clinton for all that shit that was going down.
The email thing?
Not the email, but the. God, remember when she had sent those emails, those text messages or whatever it was, and there was an attack on one of our U.S. embassies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is what he had grilled her on. But he had gone against Trump for something, and then Republicans made his life a living hell, so he got out of there. But he was a killer. But yeah, God, I forgot what the fuck I was saying.
Talking about Jim George Fauci and him.
Well, that's why I thought about Gowdy, because nobody would have been able to grill that motherfucker like Trey Gowdy.
Yeah.
Well, Rand Paul has done a decent job, and so
he
Jim
has.
Jordan as well.
Yeah, he has. And I just really why don't you have answers? And I don't understand why no one just kind of sees it as they're playing with us, man.
Pretty much. That's what I was going to say.
At this point, man. They're playing with us, man.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Leave politics aside. They're fucking with us. You don't see that?
You can get super conspiratorial too, but there's there's some funding, nefarious funding things going on with like the Wuhan lab and who Fauci, works for.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to go around something because the U.S. government wouldn't fund something that Fauci wanted to do. It's real murky waters.
You see? That's my man. I'm guys.
We're sounding like conspiracy.
We really are. This turned into pink RPT again.
Hey, those who listen to my podcast, I appreciate you for you being open-minded to listening to where.
Hey, weren't people supposed to text in and call?
We just launched it.
My bad.
Yes,
I was
going
to text.
Yeah, y'all got to, Mariswole and you, Marissa, got to
Thanks
blast
for
it out
reminding
there.
me because I forgot to mention it again on here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, give him the number, man.
So you can leave voicemails or you can text. If you're going to send a voicemail, please try to keep it under a minute, preferably under 30 seconds, like questions
nice.
or what have you. And if it's text, also don't make it a paragraph. Just have a nice, just a concise answer or question.
It's kind of hard because usually my questions don't, even though I post this early, like ever when I do Tip Tuesday, and never fails, they don't start coming in until about 6 p.m. when
That's
people
cool.
get off of work.
We'll do it on the Friday shows.
Yeah, so I think hopefully people will see it. But someone asked a question, I just saw it on here. It says, I'm struggling to have a decent relationship with my bonus baby's mother. How do you manage?
Well, my baby mama's cool. I like her.
I didn't even know you had a stepson.
Yeah,
That's
he's
what's
like
crazy.
26 or 27.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Why did I ask Marissa?
And I'm the one that was telling Rome, invite her to Thanksgiving, invite her to the holiday events.
What's wrong with you?
Because they wouldn't speak at all. And I don't know, Lionel, I feel like he wants to be around both, even though he's a grown man. And then he's got his other brothers and sisters and this. We've got to, y'all come. I don't have a problem with anybody.
I'm not trying to be my bonus baby's mother's best friend or anything. I love Mickey. So because I love Mickey, I have a cordial relationship. There's nothing for me to argue about. What is there to argue about? My only concern is Mickey, and that's what your concern should be. So as long as I'm good to her, I don't see why there needs to be.
But what I would want to have known was, why is she having issues with the mom?
I think sometimes there's just women who like to make it just impossible for other women.
Go.
Yeah, they can't let go. Or maybe they can't stand to hear that their child may like the stepmother, which I don't know. I mean, I would want for my, if heaven forbid, I don't even want to say that, but let's just say my husband and I split, I would hope that the next person treats my children good. Why would the fuck would I want them to go over my ex-husband's house and this bitch that's with him is going to mistreat my children? You know what I'm saying? I want for them to have my dad dates, you know what I'm saying? A very, you know what I'm saying? Is a good woman, a woman, who's admirable. I want that. Why would you want anything less for your child? I don't know.
Yeah, Dawn had her dad had remarried when they were young, and she was apparently an evil woman. I don't want to air out any stories. Maybe she'll tell him when she comes on the podcast, but some dark stories. I'm like, geez, that is.
I know, that was my husband's.
Okay, so that's understandable.
Trauma.
That was my husband's. That was his fucking experience, because his mom was out of his life at 3 or 4. She had an issue. She was an alcoholic. So the dad took them away, him and his sister, but the dad lied and said that their mom died.
Oh shit.
So the whole time he was thinking that his mom was dead. He meets this new woman, and she's very verbally and physically abusive. So a lot of all of these things came out because these things started to appear in our relationship. Whenever he felt like I was being aggressive or being whatever, it was a trigger. So those are a lot of things that we had to deal with, but it all went back to that relationship that he had with his stepmom. Now they've mended their relationship, which I admire. I think it's great. But she did physically abuse them, and the dad was always at work and he never really stepped in. So then that was another issue that he had. But one thing he always said is like, and I guess, you know, for the both of us, it's like, you got to make sure that at the very least she's respecting our kids if anything were to happen.
Yeah.
And I think he's very like, you know, if that were to happen, God forbid also, but I think that that's something that he's really gonna pay attention to.
Yeah, I would. I think a lot of it has to be with it being immature too. Maybe this woman is immature. You know, she's unhappy. There's something that she's unhappy about.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that she sees her ex happy with someone, it's probably bugging her because she hasn't found anybody maybe that fulfills her or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm just glad I don't have those issues. And even if she would have been somebody, I wouldn't have tolerated it. Like, I don't have time for that. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
and
too
look,
old.
all she can do is just, she
old,
has no
man.
control.
I don't have energy for that.
Honey, it's true.
I'm sorry.
She can't control that other person. All she can control is how she responds. Always be nice. Okay, hi, thank you. Because it makes them burn even more.
And the
when you
child
got a
sees
smile
that.
on your face.
For sure.
You
The
know,
child sees it too.
Yeah, just okay. God bless you, bitch. And that's it. That's it.
Yeah, I don't have. I just don't. I don't have time for it. Even if she would have been that type, I wouldn't have tolerated. I just would have been like, "Is your child good?" Then what's the problem?
That's that.
That would have been my response.
It is scary though, man, to go into a new relationship and, you know, even though I don't feel like I would ever introduce my kids to a new person.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It would just take
took
me
a while.
fucking years.
My
I don't
dad,
know.
oh my God, when my parents divorced, I used to be like, "My G, can you start dating?" I
Girl,
thought
you
he
didn't
wasn't
know if he
dating.
didn't have anything going on.
No, he did. And then finally one day he says,
He was a neighborhood Sancho.
right? He's like, "I have a girlfriend, and she's an old friend from Reno, you know, from when he was younger or whatever. When I went over there to work on your grandma's house, she's like, we bumped into each other. I was like, oh, that's
bet
what's
they
up,
did.
right? And so it was cool, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay, and I was happy for him because I just kind of felt like my mom was already dating, you know what I'm saying? So I just kind of felt like, what's up with him? But he just never wanted us. He just felt like she ain't serious, why would I introduce you? Well, the one that he kind of thought that's who he told me about, right? And so then I don't know, I'd asked him later, I'm like, Dad, so what happened with that girl, with that lady? He's like, she thought because we were dating, I was obligated to send her a monthly, send her money.
Damn.
Monthly. She says, there's only 2 women I support. It's my 2 daughters, and that's it.
Amen.
So,
Hallelujah.
bye. She's like, so we broke up. I was like,
damn.
what? He's like, yeah. She's like, I don't know where she thought. She's like, we ain't got nothing. We're not married. We
Girl, you tripping.
bitch. I mean, he's like, well, yeah, obviously when I go over there and visit you, like, you know what I'm saying?
It's going down.
Yeah, like, you know, you're not expected to pay, obviously. But bitch, give you some kind of monthly, like, what is this? A child, girlfriend support? Bitch, you got me about fucked up. So my dad said, peace out. He's like, I ain't got time
Peace
for that.
in the Middle East, bitch.
He said, I do not have time for that. He's like, so yeah, we're not talking. He's like, I told her I only support 2 females, and those are my daughters, and that's about it. So yeah, that's who they're. Because he was like, if I'm gonna give anybody monthly money, it's my daughters. He's like, not somebody I'm dating.
Girl,
I'm sorry.
you know how many chicks I know because I see these bitches on Facebook, and it's like every other week it's a new boo. I'm so in love. He makes my heart this. It's just his smile and his eyes.
That's why I can't do Facebook.
Dude,
And
for
look,
real.
but I don't
I
say
had to
shit. I'm
stop.
just like,
I had to
I
stop.
like it.
You like it? How dare you?
Because I do like it. It keeps me entertained. But
Hey, that's better than what the fuck is happening in the world right now, right? That's way more entertaining.
hey, if you like it, I love it, bitch. I'm happy for this 10th boyfriend in 2 days.
Man, those girls are crazy girls.
And just so in love every single time.
Delusional,
But the
you mean?
other thing was that I have this other friend or ex-friend. Dude, anytime she met someone new, the kids met them, met him like that.
Yeah.
That's so.
I'm like, how
not
do
good.
you
Ridiculous.
fucking do this,
Yeah.
you pitiful bitch?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, they shouldn't even. Your kids are like this thing on this fucking pedestal, bitch. Like, nobody. No one deserves that.
I know someone who would introduce the new boyfriend to their son every time, and I just didn't understand
so
it.
pitiful.
You want to talk about trauma?
It was like 3 times engaged, and then finally the 4th one is who she married. And at this point, and then the little boy would speak to her disrespectful, but who do you blame?
He had no respect for her.
I mean, when you're bringing every other guy over, and you're in love and you're engaged, it's kind of like, we're so over it, mom. Like,
I could hear a Mexican mom, hey, enseñándoles todos los pelados que traes a la casa.
Exactly.
Yep. That's right.
I never met anybody my dad dated. My mom was a little bit more, she was open about who it took a little while before she told us.
This is my backpacking partner from Europe.
Yeah, exactly. And that was it. And then it was like, and I was older when my parents divorced. So you have to understand, I wasn't a child that grew up like with divorced parents.
Yeah.
So when you're used to seeing the same mom and dad at home, and then they divorce it when you're older, I feel, I could be wrong. I think that's a little bit harder to accept, because for the last 16 years of my life, I had both my parents, and then all of a sudden my parents divorced, and y'all are living totally different lives than what I was used to. Versus, I think when you're a little bit younger, you can adapt a little bit better, because you're kind of like, well, I have to live with my mom.
I don't know, man.
Hey, let's be selfish about it. Is it more of an inconvenience when you're older? Because now you got to drive from place to place. When you're younger, at least they drop you off and pick you up places.
Damn. No, he's going to hell.
For me, it was, I didn't find it okay for him to be in my house.
Yeah.
So that was my thing. And I felt like that was my opinion. And she used to say that the day that I paid a bill in the house is the day that I had an opinion. That's what my mom's rule was.
Hardcore. I agree.
Yeah. So one summer when she decided to go to Germany for a month, I took her advice and I just packed my stuff and I got an apartment and I bounced. And when she came back, my room was empty, and she was pissed off. And then he was calling me saying that he would leave my mom just to come back home. My mom is devastated. I said, stay with my mom. She deserves to be happy. So if I'm the one that's not comfortable and I'm not right, I don't want to be around it, then I'm old enough to leave now. I was 19, and so I just bounced. I got my apartment. I have been independent since I came back from College Station, which was about to turn 20 years old. I did not live at home until I didn't go back home until I got laid off, and I was already about 20.
You're like, remember that time I left?
27.
Well, I'm coming back.
Yeah, and it was whenever I told my mom, I was like, I got laid. I just freaking signed a new lease, and I got laid off. And it was crazier because it was like, because my dad was in construction, right? And so he would get a discount at this place. So I was like, dope. I was like, and they were nice, like just brand new. So I was like ready to move. And I told my dad, I was like, you'll never believe what happened, blah, blah, blah. So my mom at that time was going to move also. And so I said, Mom, will you move in with me and be my roommate? And I was like, until,
now you want to be my roommate.
You know what I'm saying? And then, so I had to get a 2-bedroom or whatever. And then that's when I moved back in, and then I was ready to go. I was like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. It was hard living back with
you
your
couldn't
parent.
bang anybody at your house, man.
Well, not only that, but it was like, I'm like grown. Why do I have to tell you what time I'm coming back? Like,
oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hella grown.
Be back in a little bit, Mom.
So I was like miserable for a hot minute, and then finally, that's when I got out, and I just got my own apartment again, and there she was, upset again, and it's just like, you don't get it. And then I came back when when I decided to go back to college, and I said, hey, Mom, I want to go back to school, and obviously in order for me to be able to go back to school full time and work full time, I can't, I still help build the house. And at that point, she couldn't say anything anymore, because it was kind of like, well, damn, she does pay bills, so what am I going to say, you know?
Exactly.
So and I was a little bit more grown, but she would still ask me, like, what time are you coming back? Like, I don't know, like 4 a.m, maybe,
if at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I like walk in all quietly and shit, and then in the morning she'd be like, no, she'd be like in the morning, be like, what time did you come home? I'm like, I don't know, 2. it might have not been even, it might have just been that morning. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what time it was. It was like, so I hated it. And then finally, that's when I bought my house and
I
had
remember
to
this
leave.
one time that my dad needed somewhere to stay, and this was the first house that I had. So I was like, all right, cool. I think me and Rome were already married. And so one night, me and Rome leave, my dad's there. I was getting fucking stoned out my ass. And we were at one of his friends' houses, and they had one of these crazy bongs, and we literally, that wasn't the goal. I hit it one time. Rome never smokes, but he hit it once, right? Because I was like, come on, man, please, you don't ever do anything with me.
Come on, man.
Yeah, right. Just like that too.
So
Happy 420, by the way.
Oh yeah,
happy 420,
happy 420, man. So we decide to leave because we're like stuck. I was like, fuck, man, we got to get out of here. And my house was literally like 2 seconds away from the other house. It was probably like a mile away. Rome was driving, or maybe I was driving. I was going like 2 miles an hour. And so then we get to a train. So I was like, fuck, babe. Okay, we're going to stay right here. He's like, no, man, go around. We got to go home. And I was like, but if we wait for the train, we don't have to go anywhere else. But I listened to him. We went home. I had to sneak into the house. It smelled like, I don't know, like 50,000 skunks were dead. And he's like, pinche Marissa. Like he knew what I was doing.
And you were hella grown.
I was hella
in your
grown.
own house.
In my own house. And I had to sneak.
That's a parent. Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. That sounds.
That's funny,
It is.
dude.
It's
yeah.
fucked up, but
it
anyway.
is. It's right. So it's just kind of like.
And I wasn't gonna like really go out of my way to hide it. Like I would smoke in my room and it would just permeate through the house.
Yeah. No. I was
trying to be respectful, but at the same time, I
No,
was
you
like, man,
weren't.
fuck you.
Where was your house? It's a little bit different.
You know?
I don't know. But I guess if my mom lived with me, I probably would be like. I probably would be like that, but I probably would put a garage.
I'm on drugs because of you, bitch.
Damn.
That's what I felt like saying, but I didn't.
You caused this.
You did this.
Hey, remember how we were talking about making new friends on the last episode?
Yes.
And I was
Did you
like,
make a
yo,
new friend?
No. I was
Oh,
like, we got new neighbors and stuff. I don't even want to meet them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, the kids were playing with this little toy drone that they got for Christmas, and it's literally like a Five Below drone, but it's a Marvel one. They're playing with it in the backyard. I was like, stay in the middle of the backyard so it doesn't fly over the fence. I close the door, and no sooner than I close the door, they open it back up. It went on the other side of the fence. I was like, mother.
Damn, you had to go.
I sure didn't. I left the drone in that backyard. I was like, I don't feel like meeting neighbors today. I was like, guys, they're not home right now. I'll go get it later. I just didn't go get it.
Wow.
He's got social anxiety.
I don't. I was just like, I just don't feel like it today. Like, I gotta meet these people.
I feel you though. Like sometimes when you're at the store and you'll see somebody, I'm like, fuck, I know them.
Go the other way.
I'll go the other way because I just don't feel like talking to somebody
know.
sometimes. You know, I
Yep.
just want to get
It was
in.
one
now.
of those days. Yep.
Yeah, I feel you, Rob. But I've become more like that as I've gotten older.
100%.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
I avoid people at all costs.
And
now that I'm-
lockdown life too didn't help. That was just more.
Lockdown life.
Lockdown life was made me more introverted than I've ever been. That
I
should
think
be a
that's
TV
what
series.
that I missed a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. I was
Yeah.
like, God, even just with family, I don't really have to fuck with other people, but just family. Like I
Yeah.
missed like seeing my mom. Excuse me, my mom. My
Is
sister
that
was still
another
coming.
pubic hair you got in there, girl?
Some-
Dude, Dawn was listening to the podcast, and I was at that part, and I was like, "What are we talking about?" I was like, "Why is Marissa talking
Why
about
is your eye
pubes?"
keep wandering? What's
I
going
don't know. I
on?
got something in my fucking contact.
Yeah, that's what it
Damn,
is.
the whole thing. You've got
the
a
whole
pube in your
time I've
eye.
been suffering. I know.
She got something
Shit.
else in her eye. You know what I'm saying?
Son of a bitch.
Cream pie.
Golly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, y'all.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a lot of new guests on
Sweet.
the podcast from people that I met over the weekend. People that are very interesting, and like I said, although if you're listening, you're like, oh, she's getting too political on me. I'm not, guys. I really am not. I'm telling you and talking about issues that I find important, things that I feel need to be fixed, and things that I feel we need to talk about more often. And if that offends you, and if you don't see that there's a problem,
Unsubscribe.
There you
then you might not want to listen to this podcast anymore, because I have decided that in order to make change, you have to talk about the things that you care about. And in order for us to understand immigration, I want to have people that know what it takes to what you have to do in legislation to make immigration happen. I want to talk about how that affects sex trafficking. I want to talk about how that affects children trafficking. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to talk about all the things that everything that we do and everything that we vote for. I want us to understand how it affects us in life. Excuse me, because we don't realize how it affects everything else, whether it be from buying our produce to buying a shirt that is
made in
China. You know what I'm saying? Everything like that. And it's baby steps to making change and just stop letting things divide us. You know what I'm saying? Just let's work together as a community. If you feel, guys, call this phone number. Let's call our new number for
her hotline. Hit it
my
up.
hotline.
Her
And
hotline. I
you know what
like
I'm saying?
that.
And I want you guys to just, talk about it and tell us how you feel and things that you find important, right? That you would like for me to talk about. I'd love to talk about it. I'd like to look more into it, right? Before I talk about it. But if there's things that you feel like, hey, this is something you need, like homelessness. I feel like that should be a big topic, but you know what? It goes beyond having people who support and do things for them. Because you know what? At this point, guess why those organizations are in place? It's because the higher ups aren't doing anything to help the homeless problem.
Man.
And
every city and state are getting subsidies for the homeless problem.
It's bad.
And where is the money going?
We don't know. And just the fact that when I heard this weekend about like you should really suggest suggesting homeschooling, right? Because just of the shit that they're trying to teach our children in school and so forth. Yes, that works for a lot of people, right? But then there's, like I've talked about before, there's women who can't do that because they're single mothers or single fathers. Not just single mothers, but there's single fathers out there too. Or maybe your family, there's a 2-parent household, but both y'all motherfuckers got to work. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be a way where we have to be just as demanding as we are about everything else in our own school system.
Yep.
Public schools should not be as shitty as they are. You know what I'm saying? We pay the taxes for it.
We have to send our kids to private school. That's not just because. It's because it really is a shitty system. Look, my son with autism, they would eat him alive in the public school system.
Yeah.
Look at what Lucy said about her experience.
Yeah.
They always set these high goals and nothing ever happens.
And
So
she was really nice about how she talks about it off air. She told me obviously the worst part about it, but my thing about it is these are concerns that we should all have, especially if you have children. You should really be concerned about our school systems. And
hey, and even people that don't, there's probably a lot of people who really question whether or not they even want to bring a child into this world.
Well, didn't I text you that the other day? I was like, am I really doing this? And look how fucked up shit is right now.
It really is a concern, boo. It really is a concern. You don't want to leave your kids this shithole of a place.
I don't.
But I think it all boils down to, yes, we all have these concerns, but it all boils down to us really just holding the people that we vote for accountable.
Yeah, and that's it.
Like,
that's it.
We can't just continue to give them passes, man, because when we give them passes, no matter what, if it's a Democrat or Republican or whatever
doesn't matter.
it is,
it doesn't matter.
We got to hold their feet to the fire, and we have to hold them accountable. And when they fuck up, they fuck up. We can't just be like, well, so-and-so did this and so. No. Mm-hmm. We have to just, they work for us.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that.
And you just be open-minded. Be open-minded.
Do we need to change the name of this podcast to
Right?
something political? Like,
no.
Her politics.
Her politics.
Her politics.
No. I want this to be a place
it's about
where
everything.
I want
It's
this
about
to be
everything.
a place of well, she said that. Let me look it up. Because that's what I do when I hear shit,
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, but I did find someone who has a podcast.
Okay.
It is a Christian. It's more Christian based, but
you gonna have to go along.
Listen, no, they're ex porn stars who become Christians.
I'll come along.
So I'm gonna
I've
reach.
always wanted to talk to a porn star.
I told you. So I found connections. See, I met someone this weekend. Her name's Patty, who is Jesse's VP of the Lexit, right? Organization. And she's so well connected within the women, right? And It's crazy because she's hardcore, right?
Hardcore what?
Like a hardcore about politics.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Versus
okay.
me, I'm not. Not like that.
You could have fooled me.
But she is really about like women empowerment, and the whole time she's like, oh, I can connect you with this girl because I told her like what I feel is important. So she's like, I have somebody for that, I have somebody for this, and we're just kind of talking about it. And then today she's like, hey, this is a really good person you should probably look up. She does have a podcast. It's called Life of Purity, I think it's
Not a show for me.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
wait a minute, hold on.
Anything with the name pure in it, I can't do.
Well, it's because these are what do you call it, women who have
Morals.
who used to be guys. They used to be porn stars, and now they've gone that way.
Even the porn stars are still pure at heart.
Yeah, they're purist about their art, If you've ever seen them in action, they're really about it.
So their thing is called Love Always Ministries, and so
I like that.
They're I guess they're more focused on touching women who are like strippers in the porn industry, sex trafficking, and so this girl's story, who I heard today, was insane. I was like, holy mother.
Podcast with me, boo. I like this.
Yeah, it's called Let's Talk Purity. And so she talks about childhood trauma, and how it led her to these things, and you know what I'm saying? And
Always.
how her mom was probably not what her mom wanted for her, but you know what I'm saying? She kind of put her in a situation where she was abused at 4 by one of her mom's husbands, and you know what I'm saying? So it's those are things that I care about and I find interesting, and I think we have to like each other as women. You don't have to love each other, but we have to like each other. We all fucking have a different little story, and we all have the same challenges. We all just handle them in different ways. You know what I'm saying? And I think by listening to other people, like I said, and closing our mouths and just really paying attention, I think that's how I'm gonna work on making the world better. I really am.
I'm here for it.
I am. So stay tuned because I'm really excited about these. So I'm going to reach out to them. We will have Jesse on Thursday, so I can't wait for you guys to meet him. I can't wait for you to meet him. You're going to love him.
Oh my God.
Just somebody very pure heart. He's so fun. He's like,
so amazing.
I want you to meet my wife because she's not really into. His wife does not want to hear the word politics.
I love
whatsoever.
her.
Does not want to hear. Hey, but she's like,
some people just. And I respect those people that don't even want to hear it.
And she's,
Nope.
they were clowning her. She's like, but because he's been to the White House 7 times, right?
Damn.
But she's like, you gonna take me?
Yeah. That's what he said. He goes, but when I go to the White House, she's like, oh, I'm going with you. She's like, oh, to the White House she comes, but anything else, like I said, why did your wife come to the thing, right? And she's like, yeah, my wife just doesn't.
I like his wife.
Just doesn't really do politics.
Yeah,
she's like,
man.
If we're in, like she says, if he's like in his his group of people or whatever, and they start talking about it, she's like, all of a sudden you'll turn around and she's gone, and his story is just amazing, because he's talking about how he never thought he'd marry because he was in a wheelchair, and just the way God has used him. And I think that was what was more impactful for me, was the fact that everything that he talked about and everything he cares about was things that he said kind of like came to flourish for him as somebody who was on the streets and realized that the fucking system is broken, and
I've been saying that.
Yeah, so I think y'all find him very interesting, and if you want to check him out, it's at Lexit Movement. You don't have to join it, you don't have to be a part of it, but check him out. He's a pretty interesting person, and I think y'all guys will like him. So thank you so much for listening, guys. Shut your mouth, open those ears. Let's work at being better.
Amen.
Later.